Weekly BW Education Wednesday Wisdom. We've been doing this for more than 16 months, and we look forward to it. Our audiences look forward to it. The education stakeholders look forward to it. Today we have two sessions. This is the first of the two BW Wednesday Wisdoms from BW Education. Today we are doing this in partnership with Lenovo. Lenovo's credo is smarter technology for all. Today we are discussing revolutionizing simplified digital learning. Technology sometimes seems it's complex, but how to revolutionize, simplify, and make sure digital learning happens. To do that, we have leaders and wise oracles from the business of education, from the domain of education. Let me welcome all the panelists who are leaders in the education domain to today's BW Education Wednesday Wisdom. First of all, I'd like to introduce Mr. Tarun Anand. He's the chairman and the founder of the Universal Business School. Welcome, Mr. Anand. We look forward to an engaging conversation with you. I also welcome Dr. A. Srinath, who's the principal and dean skill development at the KL's Academic Staff College. Welcome, Dr. Srinath. Let me also welcome Professor Rakesh Mohan Joshi, who's the professor at the Venerable Indian Institute of Foreign Technology, and he's a very prolific writer, and he's also the chairperson for research and institutional collaboration at IIFT. Welcome, Professor Joshi. We look forward to your illuminating views. I also have Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, who joins us from Kharghar. She's at the campus. She's the director of the ITM at Kharghar. Professor Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, thank you for joining us. We welcome you. Last but not the least, we have Mr. Mukesh Nihalwani, who's the sales lead for private education for Lenovo India. Mukesh was part of this discussion last week, and we had fun. Mukesh, hope we can have some fun while we discuss serious issues. So welcome. And last but not the least, I have Ms. Vasudha Mukherjee, who's my editorial lead at BW Education. So me and Vasudha will do this conversation. Let me start by again reintroducing the topic so that we stay focused. It is revolutionizing simplified digital learning. Let me ask all the panelists their opening comments, and then we'll get into a freewheeling discussion. Let me start Mr. Tarun Anand for his opening comments. Mr. Anand, all yours.
Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. So, while we're talking about digital learning and the future of education, I always go, let's take a step back and look at, what is the future of management education? And, then two questions come to my mind. Can one function in any organization without the mastery of technology or an understanding of technology, right? What it brings to the world of business, and what will be the jobs of the future or the way we are working in the future, right? Companies all over the world have had to do exactly what the education world is facing, right? Work from a distance from their homes and manage complex organizations, systems, processes around the world. I always believe that the left, brain operations will be taken over by machines in the future. And that's a good thing. It brings in efficiency. But the newer jobs, like creativity, empathy, and how can we use that to really accentuate this combination with technology? I'm going to obviously talk about the kind of growth that has been there in the whole space of artificial intelligence, which is changing the way everything is done. I mean, we use artificial intelligence in various functions, whether it's from, look at it from, doing the examinations, right? Proctoring has gone artificial. Student matching has gone artificial. So technology is here to stay. The data industry is obviously booming. We know that story. The analytics industry is set to double in size by 2025. And it's roughly around $3 billion a day today. So there's going to be, everything has to be digital, right? And it's not separate digital, it needs to be integrated digital. So digital has to be a function. The CEO needs to be thinking, the business school dean needs to be thinking, how can I integrate the digital in everything I do? And I know that's music to the technology company ears, but that's the way forward, right? So if we look 10 years from now, I think the big the big area is going to be, of course, some jobs will be lost to automation, and some computers will replace humans. But that's not the big story. I think the big story for us in the digital realm is how humans and computers can change and dynamically change the entire world. And to me, that's where business strategy is going to create the new superheroes, which I believe is the future super minds. So I think that's where I wanted to set the context that I believe that if you don't think digital, you are going to be left by the wayside. And I'll hand it over to my colleagues.
Thank you so much. We'll get into remote learning. We'll get into the challenges. We'll get into the key IT needs of educational institutions and leaders. We'll get into how Lenovo is offering the kind of classroom solutions it's offering and the technology solutions. But at this point, let me bring in Professor Rakesh Mohan Joshi into the conversation. Professor Joshi, your opening comments about what has happened to education in the last 16 months.
Thank you. Digital education, I think the topic that Dr. Mitra sir, you have chosen is, can you listen to me? Voice is okay?
Yes, we are very audible and very visible.
Dr. Batra sir, the topic that you have chosen, the revolutionizing simplified learning is extremely contemporary, and it's extremely significant at this particular juncture. Technology prevailed even earlier to 2020. And, whatever the technology we are using, that, the online modes, they were available earlier. But the problem is in the education system, culturally, we were so ingrained of the classroom kind of a teaching, where I think the people did not had any necessity to adapt it at the pace that we have adapted in the last 1 year and 4-5 months. If you see that, say probably we have been learning the online programs for across the country, across 40-60 cities for last 20 years. But now what we are finding is that, people and, what we call even the universities and the institutes which never used it are forced to learn two ways. One is that, because of the lockdowns. So lockdown prevented the people from going, from one place to another place. And probably now you see even the board meetings takes place online, even the interviews take place online, and more importantly is the learning online. Now the new education policy, I think I've been a part and parcel of multiple committees there, and especially the committee on, entry of the foreign institutes in this country. So we are deliberating there, internationalizing education, the digital technology is extremely important. And the only thing is that, the economic power from the West, from the Europe and America over the last decade have shifted to Africa. It could be China, India, and other Asian countries, but education, we could never do it. And education, therefore, the two things. One is, making quality education available to the masses across the country. Not only Professor Mr. Tarun was talking about the Management Institute, but more than Management Institute, what is very important is India has got today about 1,000 universities. We have got 40,000 colleges. We have got 10,000 institutes which are standalone. And, the significance of the digital technology, not to serve the elite class or the elite institute, but the significance goes to serving this to the people in the rural areas of this country. And in the new education policy, we are working very hard. Many things difficult to tell, but very soon you will find that, we are working on the document that will come, the implementation part. Now, even the UGC is also accepting, or the regulatory bodies are accepting that, the 40% classes, 40 to 60% can be conducted on the online mode, and rest 40 to 60 can be conducted on the offline mode. So the whole thing is going to be integration of the offline and digital teaching, which we call as a hybrid teaching. And necessary adaptation has to take place between the students as well as the teachers as well. Earlier the mode was teacher used to go to the class, he used to say something, the student understood, not understood, but ultimately the class was over and nobody knew. But now what is happening is development of the digital context, and the digital context is being developed not by the hi-fi institutes like IITs and IIMs, but digital context across state universities have been developed. I'll tell you a small example. UP is a state, wherein, the infrastructure is perceived to be not in a good condition. But UP is a state which has developed the online content, probably, one of the most advanced online content has been developed. So I think, the things are going to change, things are going to revolutionize, and what the topic you have suggested, it is more simplified. Now the time has come when the death of book has come. Probably for my book, I used to get 10 lakhs royalty. Now it has come down to 1 lakh, and probably it will disappear. So, we need to adapt to the new changes. So from my side, now
thank you, Dr. I always would ask, will there be a virtual university? No physical university, only a virtual university. Now you're talking of the death of the book. I don't think that will ever happen, because, there is a certain lean back experience when you read a book. And, when you are into a digital device, it's a lean forward. I think there is a difference between a lean back and a lean forward. And I think while I bring out magazines and I have 30 odd sites, I still believe it's not either or. We are an and country, but that's another debate, another day. But let me bring it Dr. Lakshmi Mohan for her opening comments. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan is the director of the ITM in Kharghar.
Yeah, so the future belongs to perpetual learners. And I think, as rightly said by Professor Joshi, we are moving from teacher-centric to student-centric. We are also moving from peer-centric to learner-centric. There's so much of this change that's happening. But if you look at this term, revolutionizing, it's quite a powerful term. And it cannot happen unless and until there's a growth mindset in the organization. When I mean organization, the whole system, unless and until we bring in systems thinking, unless and until we bring in U theory, I think a lot of changes need to happen within the organization itself. When the pandemic struck, actually at ITM, we had the students who had given the first examination, and there were, another 10 examinations to go. At the same time, we had students who were ready for an offline internship. So all of them, almost, we had about 293 companies that had absorbed these students. Imagine the kind of change that we needed to get into, the strategy that we need to bring in, the remote learning or the remote experience for every student. Be it even working during the internship, it had to be remote, it had to be work from home. But we managed it. I think in every opportunity, in every crisis, there is an opportunity, and we need to look at that opportunity. And that opportunity came in the form of digital. Can you imagine if we did not have digital? Will we be even, meeting one another like this? It would have been terrible for all of us. That includes our students. So I think digital has been a blessing, a boon, a great gift by God, I must say. If we look at the present system, any educational institution, I believe there is this PPT model. So when we say PPT model, it is people, process, and technology. And we talk about people, it's the pillars, that is the students, the teachers, the alumni, the corporates, the accreditors. I would say these 5 are actually the pillars of an institution. And if you look at, say, process, we look at the curriculum, we look at the pedagogy, we look at the administrative processes. And if you actually look at technology, I think that is the integrator for all of us. When you talk of people, when you talk of process, all this is actually integrated using technology. That's the kind of revolution that has come into our education system. Today, we look from admission to alumni. That is, admission is when the student enters an institution to, a student who exits the institution as an alum. Everywhere there is system in place. I think the LMS works wonderful for all educational institutions, and that's the way forward. Digital is here to stay for long. And I would say rigidity is stupidity. If we do not move forward with this kind of a revolution that's happening around us, we are going to become extinct. I think institutions have had to close down because they could never visualize or have a vision of where we are heading.
At this point, let me bring in Dr. Srinath. Dr. Srinath, your opening comments.
Yeah, thank you, Batraji. And as Dr. Lakshmi Mohan was just reiterating, I just want to say a few things related to how we at our KL deemed to be university have tried to transform the learning mode of the students. Fortunately enough, around 3 years down the lane, this university started thinking on blended mode of learning. We also started implementing some flipped learning technologies, because of which the transition for our university and the students, especially from the regular conventional classroom based teaching and laboratory based learning mode, was very easy. I could say that 21st March 2020, when India went to lockdown, we at Kale University started our classwork and our virtual laboratories from 23rd March of 2020 itself. So just in a span of 2 days, that 2 days also was given as the cushioning time for the students to reach to their destinations, their homes, and then start working. Definitely, there are some challenging issues involved in that related to the connectivity, the remote locations, and all these things. But we also ascertained all that beforehand to the students such that around 50 GB of their mobile phone data is available with them, even when the Wi-Fi or the LAN connection in their house gets turned off. So, and this blended mode of learning has given us a lot of avenues to explore across the world what is happening and what the students need to take up. So, especially by blending some MOOCs into the course for a particular course, involving some modules from Coursera, involving some modules from Simply Learn, taking some lectures from LinkedIn Learning. So this type of technology made us to evolve very easily into this type of situation where we are into. And when it comes to the examinations, there are various institutions who have, because of lot of fear of copying or plagiarism, they have not taken up the examinations. But we were ready because of the technology available with us. All our entrance examinations are online since past 10 years. So we try to use the similar technology for conducting our regular examinations online mode. And the students are very happy that we could announce the results of the semesters on time. The students who were waiting for the results to be announced and then join their jobs by taking a degree from the university, they could all do it in 2020 on time. Similarly, we had done it in 2021. Now everyone who is supposed to pass out has graduated out in the required time and they have joined their respective companies. So the transition has happened very quickly. And as everyone is telling, that digital learning is the need of the hour. I think that the present generation of students and the future generations to come, they are much more fascinated towards the virtual mode of learning because of the gamification, because of the niche which is attached to this tools which are available online. So the Vedantu or the Byju's or whatever, even from the childhood, they are now learning lot of things on these platforms, and that is where we need to rethink our approach towards educating this generations of students who are going to enter into our education sector in the next few years to come.
Thank you, Dr. Srinath. Mukesh, you've heard all the stakeholders. You work with a wide variety of educational leaders and educational institutions. Your opening comments, Mr. Mukesh Nihalwani.
So, first of all, I'm honored and feeling humbled to be a part of this special Business World Education discussion. Anurag, it's a great platform for us to get a window of future as perceived by the leaders presented here. I heard Dr. Tarun and Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, Dr. Rakesh, Dr. Srinath. I mean, all of them have appreciated the technology is playing a very, very important role, and it is going to be stay here. Lenovo believes future lies in the smarter technology, and we shall focus on it. Future tells what to do to the present and analyze past for more corrections. Actually, future is not smart technology as a people believe, rather it is smart technology indicating it is evolving every moment following the significant principle no good is good whether better is expected. I just wanted to share how Lenovo solution helping teacher, student, IT admin, and parents in this current scenario, and how it will enable the student, teacher, parents, and IT admin in future as well. First, let me touch upon the teachers. Lenovo Smart Classroom uses intelligence tool to provide high quality digitized content that reduce the burden of lesson preparation and enhance student interaction collaboration, easily track, manage, monitor the education content displayed to the student through an effective learning management system. Digital learning has become the new normal, and these things are very, very important. Without tracking, managing, and monitoring the student, it's difficult to continuity of the teaching. When I touch upon the student will always look for fun, interactive class through Lenovo Smart Classroom, make learning an enjoyable experience. The student get an access to rich, immersive education content directly on their device and can learn from anywhere. AI-based technology help boost student confidence by helping them self-practice English speaking at home. For more difficulties for the IT admins and institute admins, the safety and security of our children is our top priority. Lenovo Smart Classroom gives a solution and the IT admins the power to optimize operation and ensure compliance, data security, asset accountability. Furthermore, the institution admission can make data-driven decision to manage curriculum, overall institute performance through intuitive dashboard. It gives a dashboard. What are the software can be used? What are the software which are not being used? And it gives ROI. For parents, Lenovo Smart Classroom share information on the student learning progress and class performance with the parents on a regular basis. Parents also have authorization to control application on the student device to ensure physical, mental well-being of their children. It's very, very important. Mental health is very, very important, and there has to be a tool which can actually control and see what all children is searching on their devices. Presently, integration of the technology with the human need is what everyone is working. Lenovo has transformed 360-degree a product-led organization to solution-led organization, addressing the most critical needs with the technology-centric hand-holding of customer is now our USP. Simultaneously, we are in the position to bridge the digital divide and involve education institute for a bigger IT ecosystem, smiling conventional academics. Our hybrid classrooms are opportunity to explore online teaching and learning revolution. This unique solution is thriving and tripod of interactive display, IP camera, online meeting essential, responsibly organization. Lenovo ensure student safety reports for parents, filtering of appropriate content. Our solution are not only aiming a remote student, but to access IT staff involving cloud-based management system. We are open to give an ear to the concerned institution, focusing on meaningful use of device at all, movement in all circumstances. We work for smarter India and growing education solution provider in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mukesh, for bringing in technology. Every business is either a technology business or technology is driving the business. And if you're not a technology business, then you're possibly not making enough impact. You're always under leveraged. Thank you for bringing those application on technology and a holistic view on how technology from Lenovo and the solution and services is helping the education ecosystem. At this point, let me bring in my colleague, Ms. Vasudha Mukherjee, for asking the next set of questions. Vasudha, all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Batra. I would actually like to start with Dr. Srinath, if that's all right. And my first question to you is, with this remote learning becoming the need of the year, and being continued from last year, we've all had some time to settle in and realize what is needed. Do you see the education system completely moving into remote learning, or do you see a hybrid learning system? And maybe you can give us an example of what you and your institute is planning for the rest of this year.
Thank you, Ms. Vasudha. And definitely, this blended mode of learning is going to stay with us for next at least 1 or 2 decades. The reason is the present generation of students, they are more passionate towards learning something on their own. They are not interested to learn directly one-to-one from a teacher. Rather, they have a lot of avenues available. The reason is they have a lot of avenues available now because of the fast evolving digital technologies. So because of that, the students can explore a lot of things like what we used to do when we were children. We had only 1 or 2 books to refer or 5 books to refer and write our own notes. But now because of the internet, because of the Google and because of the Alexa which is there, they can even just get the things heard from their ears and then remember that and then reproduce that. But that whole thing does not serve the purpose in my perspective as well as our institution perspective, because especially in the higher education, when we are imparting something to the students in higher education, the students are expected to learn, practice, and become a lifelong learner, because they need to implement all those technologies and tools which they learn in this higher education sector in their practice when they are in the profession. So the digitalization of the higher education sector is much more required to be evolving out. No doubt there are a lot of avenues available as on date, but what our institution did is we have blended many modes of learning. For example, our labs, we had been implementing our laboratories in a virtual mode since past 5 years. So that has helped us to transform our mode of learning for the students, even in the laboratories, to the virtual mode. Not engineering also it is possible, except for medicine. To my extent, to my best of my knowledge, it can be done in almost all the science, humanities, management, and engineering schools. But in medicine, because you deal with the livestock, you need to have some hands-on over the these practical sessions. Except for that, the remaining learning can happen. The practical sessions also are easily able to be happening on the virtual mode. And when the industries look into the students, they now look into three basic things for the placement. One is how much effectively the student has undertaken the globally accepted certifications relevant to their industry. So that can be that those are all available now because of the Government of India initiatives of National Skill Development Council, as well as various other sector skill councils and various other companies like Google or Cisco or any other company which has come out with these platforms. They are offering very subsidized rates the global certifications, and you believe me, this type of certifications are offered in a much more subsidized rates when they are offered actually in the physical mode. And the testing of these certifications are also much more effective on the online platform. So that is one very fascinating thing for the students. They are able to get these certifications, which is one primary requirement of the companies looking for the placement. The another primary requirement is the soft skills. The students are much more, what we say, honing up their soft skills because of these virtual platforms, especially when we are using the breakout sessions in the classrooms. They discuss much more elaborately with much more effective communication, more team working skills, more leadership skills are getting honed up in the students because of these breakout sessions which we are using during the digital technologies. And that is the one best thing which the companies are suggesting us to continue hereafter also. And the third thing is the team-based projects and critical thinking. So the present scenario of this COVID has made the students to think both in the technological as well as in the business perspective to evolve out with the most feasible and viable solutions for various types of problems which the country and the world is facing. And that has made the students to come out with what not, a lot of innovative ideas. And those innovative ideas, they are trying to do something in the form of projects. They are integrating all the tools which they have learned in their coursework, and that's how they are doing a lot of successful work in the area of research also. So these three things are a win-win situation for any student, and that is why this digital technologies, when integrated effectively with a lot of planning done by the teachers who are all involved in the design of the curriculum, who are involved in the design of the imparting the course and imparting the knowledge, then it will be of utmost use for the students.
Thank you, Doctor. I would like to ask the same question to Mr. Anand. Do you think that remote learning is the future, or do you see a hybrid learning? And maybe you can give us some examples of what you yourself have implemented in your institution for the coming year.
I'm going to be a little controversial here because it's fun and it'll make it more interesting. So I asked my students, right? How much did you enjoy it? You had to use it, no doubt about it. Did you enjoy it? And I have to say, 80-90% said we hate it. I'm sorry. Yes, we got what we wanted out of it. We want to be there backslapping the whole campus life, and 50% or more sometimes is learned outside of the classroom. They miss that, right? So I can see that there is huge value, and I completely agree with Dr. Srinath. Those examples just hit the nail on the head in terms of what digital technology can do in a scenario like this. But imagine I'm in, I'm a hopeful guy, and let's say the world comes back to normal. If you have an opportunity to do a live project in a company, sitting with the corporate guys, versus sitting in your home in some remote village, connected, I don't even have to, ask the question again. You know the answer. So what I'm trying to say is that, of course, where we will be, picking and choosing. I think where it's high motivation levels. So, for example, the certification, that's a high motivation level, right? I got Six Sigma or I got an AI thing certified. So where there's high motivation levels, that'll all move online. Lifelong learning is perfect for this system, right? That's why companies like edX and Coursera are really doing it. Companies have realized we have large budgets. Let's use what can be done virtually. Let it be done. So I think there's going to be and therefore it lends to this whole world of blended. Now, what percentage is going to be blended? Is it going to be 80-20? Is it going to be 10-90? The time will tell. But I don't see it going beyond a 60% because I think it's unhealthy. If you have the possibility of a face-to-face environment, clearly that's going to score any time over the online. Of course, I agree with Dr. Lakshmi Mohan. She said this was godsend. I agree with you. It saved the day. But is it something that we will continue? Yes, absolutely right. What is the percentage is the debate, right? Is it going to be 80-20? Is it going to be 50-50? I don't know. Now, why I say it for, in the Western world, there's one thing which always, keeps me up is the online MBA. In the Western world, a lot of the Western world has graduated. There were companies, there were campuses who used to have full-time, courses, right? 300, 400 students. They've shut down in the United States. And that same business school has got 4,000 students on an online platform in an online world. So it's interesting. Again, I think there's also a very big difference between America and in India in terms of MBA seeking students. In America, the vast majority, the average age is 4 or 5 years. So there's a mature bunch of people with 3, 4, 5, 7 years of work experience who go in for their MBA in the US. Whereas in India, large portions, including in the IIMs, are freshers. So I think they're not yet mature to be able to leverage. Of course, the highly motivated guys are going to do a great job and keep seeking more. So I think this is very essential for those who are highly motivated. They are hungry. They are going all night. They're doing all-nighters saying, what can I learn more in the area of interest? And therefore, to have that window there is fantastic. And I think we love it that window is there for those highly motivated students. But remember, the entire number of students there's a difference, right? So barring technology issues, connectivity issues, I leave them, that's a bigger problem. I see just student motivation to be a large challenge.
Yes, student motivation. I agree with Mr. Anand that campus experience, the campus life, what we call social skills, what we call on-campus experiences, both in the classroom and outside the classroom, are not only treasured by the students, they're also treasured in terms of the way professors will interact. That's one of the joy of imparting learning. And that's one of the way you receive a holistic grooming, if I may use that word. So clearly, I agree with Mr. Tarun Anand there. Vasudha, the same question goes to Professor Chaturvedi.
Okay. Do you see remote learning continuing or hybrid learning coming into the system? And how are you implementing this into your own institution?
So it was, from room to Zoom. that was a sudden transition that we all got into. I feel digital has brought in a lot of effectiveness and efficiency. When you're talking about outcome-based learning, we are looking at data. And when you're doing remote learning, the data is perfectly there to a certain extent, where you can calculate the attainment level of every student. The manual labor has come down. Yes, you can, use your systems to create that for you. But yes, there has also been a flip side to remote learning. But before that, let me also talk about what we have done at ITM. So we have created teaching learning studios. So believe me, we have a couple of studios in the campus itself, so that I don't need to, teach from home. I can just rush to the campus and I can use one of the studios to connect with the student. And it's a perfect soundproof studio from where I have, every tool possible to give the best learning for the student who is sitting maybe in his hometown. So this is something that we brought in, also considering that we may have to move to hybrid. So today it's completely remote. But when everything opens up, there would still be, some of them not wanting to come to campus, fearing, the COVID threat. So we are fully ready for a hybrid classroom. In fact, all our classrooms are also fitted with gadgets, which, match with the hybrid classroom. That apart, of course, there are a lot of challenges. We do face challenges when we have to, get into remote connect with the students. The challenge is you do not know whether the student is listening to you. He might just put off his camera and then go off to sleep, or, have his lunch, but not listening to you. So how do you really find that out? Maybe, we need to create those kind of mechanisms where we are able to understand exactly whether the student is connected with us when we are teaching them. Also, there are, students for us, especially, I think Mr. Tarunanand will also agree that we are schools where we have students from different places, from the remotest corners of the country. And there are places where you do not have this kind of facility where you can, study from home, have the best of Wi-Fi facility and do your remote learning. So that is another big challenge that we face. Thirdly, your gadget, you should have the best of gadgets to be able to connect with your professor during remote learning. So that's again a big question, because we have not provided gadgets to the students. It's all been so sudden that I don't think any institution has really thought about even, providing gadgets to the students during remote learning. How about the digital dementia? How about the, the video conferencing fatigue that teachers face and the students face? Anytime that energy and enthusiasm in the campus is welcome. So today, if I have to go to the campus and I don't see students, I feel there's something amiss. So that feeling, of course, is there. Today, if I'm not able to go to the library where there are, lakhs of books and I have to depend on my digital library. Yes, like, Dr. Anurag said, that feel of the book is something very different, which I'm not able to now. So there are so many such challenges that come out of remote, but then I still feel that a lot of efficiency has been brought in by, the various learning management systems, be it, digital simulations, be it collaborations. We are so much dependent on technology, and I'm sure that technology is going to support education big time. So thanks to people like Mr. Nihalwani, who have been, helping us out in this education sector.
Thank you, Doctor. Professor, can we also have you answer the same question? Do you see remote learning? Yes, your turn.
Okay. No, I think I would like to take it one step further, that it is not only because of the lockdowns and COVID. We were working on digital learning mode much before. Only thing is the lockdowns and the COVID has accelerated the whole process. Because I'll tell you, then I think we need to train our students and faculty both the various issues. Say I'll talk about the not only in the country. I think I've been teaching on the online mode across 17-18 countries for last 15-20 years. Now, if you see, I think each one of need to get accustomed to that system. One is if you look into those online mode is the time dimension. Say if my student is sitting in Fiji, Australia, New Zealand, or Japan, and then another student is sitting in United States of America. So, the time difference almost more than 12 hours or so. So those time difference also we need to take into consideration. And because the digital technology has allowed you for a classroom where is no acculturation of the students, who I think what Professor Lakshmi was talking of, a physical acculturation, student coming to the class and interacting with the students, wherein we interact our students only digitally. So this was one. Another thing was then we also need to adjust to the the cultural nuances of the people from across. Cultural nuances within the country, but more than that, it comes when we are having international class from across the country. So if there is a student sitting in Japan and another student sitting in Bangladesh or India, so and a student sitting in America, their response, because of what we call as the cultural traits, are very, very different. Say if you in Japan, to a student you cannot talk in a language that we can talk in India se tumne kaam nahi kiya, you have not come prepared. In Japan, if you have to say, you have to be very soft in telling, because Japanese need a lot of face saving, wherein US student you can be upfront, and even the student can be upfront. So learning both ways, the student learning and the teacher learning, contextual issues, cultural issues, time issues, and technology issues. So I think all these things need to to be taken care of. And one important thing, I am going beyond COVID, because we were using the system prior to that and will continue to use it. But only thing is the after COVID, this has given an acceptance into the segment of the student and the teacher community, where it was not accepted. And it is the acceptance is not only the acceptance by the student or teachers, but the legal acceptance also. I'm sure that that we are in a process of institutionalizing National Technology Education Forum, which is going to be a platform wherein the education, where these things would be made available to the students, university system, and the teachers as well. For where they already have the Swayam platform, which is being made use of several universities and students. At the same time, there are very, very strong private platforms like the Khan Academy, Baizu. Then there are MOOCs, which I think multiple. The thing is, it has also accelerated the competition. Accelerated the competition two ways. One is that earlier the student did not have any choice to get taught or get imparted by learning, except for the teacher who comes to the college. Today you can log into website of any of the best institutes in the world, wherein on several platforms there is a lot of learning which you can have with the best of the professors that you want on the online learning. And very important thing, it has given pressure not only to the students but to the teachers more, that what we call is, earlier we are moving or transforming from a state of information asymmetry. Now, information asymmetry, the knowledge was kept by the professor very close to his chest. But today, when you go to the class, your student is totally prepared. And he get prepared on time as well. As professor was saying that the students don't come online, they off the video, we don't know what they are doing. But at the same time, the students are much brighter than us. The students, the IQ is increasing, and what happens is, before they come to the class, some of them have got access. Everybody has got access, but some of them goes to the information, and he comes to the class, one for learning, and more than learning, he want to test the knowledge of the professor, whether the professor is updated. Today, professor cannot, or any teacher, cannot afford to be, not updated and not give the concepts. And this is what we call is, in the marketing, in the product categories, what we call the product life cycle. Now there is a knowledge life cycle. So the students getting updated and the professor is not updated, what we call as a generation gap, which is accelerated by what we call as a digital divide between the understanding of the people of the two age group also increases. So professors and all teachers need to be very, very thorough in the conceptual knowledge that can offset them with the contemporary knowledge, and at the same time they should be able to apply their conceptual knowledge to the contemporary issues to make them a really effective professors, and really effective outcome in teaching and learning. And very important thing here is what we call is the online evaluation. Earlier evaluation system in Indian university system was annual exams. Now, except for a few, the prime institutes where, we have a trimester system, we have got, the continuous examination. But now the government of India has also accepted that the examination evaluation has to be year long. Evaluation has to be not based on the final exams, but has to be year long. It has to be participatory between the student and the faculty, and evaluation has to be online and offline mode both. So I think for the time being, we go evaluation only with the online mode. We are hiring a number of agencies as well for that. But I'm sure that, over a period of time, the institutes, including the schools, colleges, universities, they will build up their own capacity, to evaluate the student in online technology. And the problem that we are facing with the teachers across the colleges and universities, to getting them accustomed to the new system and, integrating with the system. You cannot be online on a standalone system. Now, the system which are going to emerge is hybrid system, COVID, non-COVID, lockdown, no lockdown, in time to come, and not only for a decade or so, but I think it is going to be very perpetually that acceptance of the online mode is going to be in the educational system, not only in the country, but across the country. And foreign universities are also recognizing one thing, that, we have worked very hard on that, the dual degrees, joint degrees, hybrid degrees from foreign universities. And you will see, it's a matter of only month that it is going to be a reality within the country as well. And this gives opportunity not only to the Indian education system, but even foreign universities to employ the Indian teachers and get the degrees there. They are having the students from India, and they need not go to the campus. But I think what Dr. Batra was talking, I think wonderfully well was that, on-campus experience is something which is missing. As Professor Lakshmi is missing, our students are missing every day, because we are receiving, presentations from the student. They want to come to the campus. COVID
I have to tell you, I'm
Please,
on the board of my alma mater, MDI.
Yeah. Carry on.
I'm on the board of my alma mater, MDI.
I know.
Yeah. The latest batch actually reached out to me saying, when is the college opening?
I fully agree with you.
Because they want to come back. It's not just
they want to come back. They are making a complaint of us that we are not calling them to the institute, to the administration. Yes. We are saying we are worried about.
Absolutely. But at this point, let me bring in Mr. Mukesh Nihalwani into the conversation. And Mr. Nihalwani, you already outlined in your opening comment about how does the Lenovo Classroom solution kind of tackle current and future problems in education. But what are the key IT needs that you see are enabling remote learning? And in that context, what is Lenovo doing and Lenovo's classroom solutions tackling current and future problems in education? Mr. Nihalwani?
Yeah, so Anurag, we have heard all the panelists here. We have heard Dr. Tarun Anand, we have heard Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, we have heard Professor Rakesh, we have heard Dr. Srinath. I mean, all of them have said, like ma'am said, the teacher, they have built a teaching learning studio in the campus itself. I mean, we really appreciate the institutes are investing in the digital learning and how we can enhance the experience while providing the right tool, right solution, and right software to the institute, so that the challenges what they are facing, like the students are not concentrating on their studies, they are focusing something else when teacher is actually teaching. So we have a tool where the teacher can control the student device and actually see what the student is doing it in the live session. And it is very important to earlier it was more on the arranging the device, enabling the student with the devices. Now the need is different. Now the need is not only the device, but also the solution, because everybody said, in all the panelists said, this is going to be there for a long. And in class solution, hybrid and distance learning is what everybody is focusing it on. And our solution, when we talk about, we have categorized in a three segment. One is instructional resources, then we have categorized into the remote class management, and then we have touched upon the cyber security, student safety, and device management. This is going to be there, and Lenovo is committed to provide and enable all the institute with the right tool on which the only not the student but also the teacher, IT admin, and parents can actually see what all the students are doing it. Lenovo Smart Classroom, when I touch upon the Lenovo Smart Classroom, it provides an intelligent interactive education solution, combination of artificial intelligence. We have touched upon we have heard Dr. Anand talking about the artificial intelligence. Do we have the technology with Lenovo? Yes, we have. Our solution is combining artificial intelligence, big data, cloud computing, other advanced technology that empower institute to a better organized instruction workforce as well. We also talked about the immersive learning experience as well. We do have a solution with the use of those solution. The student can go for a virtual field trip. They can actually experience all the experiment by the using the tool. Professor Rakesh Mohan has also touched upon the experiment on a virtual experiment will play a key role. So we do have tools which can help student to do a virtual experiment that will be more accurate, and it will be cost effective as well. Overall, if I see, Lenovo is committed and has a solution which can solve all the current and future problem as well. We have the tools which is not only helping the student and teacher, but the overall education ecosystem as well. Thanks. Back to you, Anurag.
So what are the challenges that you have faced or do you see in remote learning? We already talked about, the greatness of technology, but like, what are the major challenges that you've already talked about some of them, of people want to return back to the classroom. But, putting that aside, thinking about the practicalness of working remote learning and doing online classes, what are some of the major issues and challenges that you have faced?
So for us, it was peer-to-peer learning, right? That one-on-one learning which is outside the classroom. For us, it was the actually the assimilation of all of this, and grades dipped. Grades have dipped. First time in history we've had a grade dip because of the pure motivation I talked about. So I think those are interest levels dropping. And we asked our students, right? 62% of our students said, you know what, we want to come back. We prefer this anytime, any day. And we might not even join the college if you don't give us face-to-face. So that's the reality. I'm going to stick my head out and say, the students are very clear. They want to be in the classroom. This is an aid. It's not a substitute.
Beautiful. It is supplements the learning. It is not a substitute. I think that's a very beautiful point, and that's where technology creates win-win. Beautiful.
Dr. Batra, before moving on, there is a question from the audience, and because we don't have a lot of time, I would like to. It's for you, Mr. Nilwani. Suraj Singh has asked, the purpose behind pursuing professional courses is to experience the diversifying culture it offers and networking. But digital learning isn't fulfilling any of the two. How can we fill the gap? The purpose behind pursuing professional courses is to experience the diversifying culture it offers and networking. But digital learning isn't fulfilling any of these two. How can we fill the gap?
The only thing what first, I really appreciate, it's a good question, Suraj. The only thing is we have the solution, we have the tool, but the right use or I would say the right tool has to be used in a right manner. If the tools are there, we have a softwares, right, which can actually sit on your device and can see what are the softwares which has to be used and which are the software which has not been used. We are flooded with the technology, we are flooded with the software and solution in the market, but we ourselves don't know which are the solution, which are the softwares and the tools are important and which are not. That is the only challenge what we see as an organization. That's why we have brought up the tool called that tool will go and sit in your device and give you the analysis whether the software which you have bought that is relevant to you or not, whether the software which you have invested a significant amount of money, whether that software has been used by the institute or has been used by the student or has been used by the teacher. If those are not getting used, it will give you the alert. And if you are using it, it will continuously giving the analytics, like how much time you are spending on that software. I mean, the tools are there, but the only thing is the effective use is something is missing, and somewhere the collaboration is missing there.
Thank you, Mr. Nirvani, and I hope that answers your question, Suraj. Now, going back to the question you're asking our panelists to quickly
Okay,
answer.
I think we are at 4 o'clock, and I'd like Vasudha to wrap this up. Yes, Vasudha, we are at 3:59, so I'd like to get a closing comment from each of the participants in terms of revolutionizing simplified digital learning. Give your prediction for the future. I'll ask that to everyone. I'll start this time with Dr. Lakshmi Mohan. What's your prediction for the future?
Yeah, I feel it is innovation and collaboration. That's the best way forward. You have technology around you. It's just for you to, that's the playground for you. You need to find out how technology can be embedded in the system, bring in new teaching pedagogies. I think a lot can be done out of the technology that is available for us. One more thing that we need to do is teacher upskilling, which I think is missing. That needs to be given a lot of attention. And the other fear that I think people have is, are teachers going to fade away? I think teachers have to know that be it 4G, 5G, technology, Guruji to rahega. So that will never fade away.
In the last webinar, when me and Mukesh were together, one of the panelists beautifully summed up, I think Mukesh summed up, that there'll be teachers who will be utilizing technology more. They will replace the teachers who do not utilize technology more. So the question is not that the teachers will be there or not. It's about the usage of technology and striking a balance. So I think kind of best of both worlds. So that's what it. Thank you for your closing comment. Professor Chaturvedi, your closing comments?
My closing remarks would be technology will be there. Teachers, as Lakshmi Mohan Madam told, teachers, the Gurujis will be there. But the transformed teachers and Gurujis have to be there who are upskilled, who are abreast with the current technology. The present generation of students, wherever they are, in whatever remote location they are, even though they may not have the net connection, everyone has a mobile device with them. The learning technologies can always be embedded into their mobile devices. Whenever they reach out to the exact location where the technology can be or where the connection can be revived, they can download that content. So the e-content development is very, very important, which needs to be provided to the students. And a lot of digital classrooms have to get evolved. And at KL, we have luckily very good number of digital classrooms, and we are also a very good customer to Lenovo and Samsung for this purpose. So we have a lot of these digital technologies, but how effectively the teachers use, how effectively they get involved, and how effectively they engage the students to use this type of techniques and learn the best possible, which is what is going to matter a lot. And that is what we are now making our faculty. That is what is my primary role in the university, to train my teachers for evolving into this type of technologies.
Thank you so much. Dr. Tarun Anand, your final comments.
I'll say the campus is going to get electrified with technology. So it's going to be the heart center, the throb. And I love that statement of, teachers. So I always say the super mind world is the future superheroes are going to be those that combine technology in everything they do. And that's what's going to lead the future.
So I think, leveraging technology is going to be the secret of success in achieving competitiveness for education, primary, secondary, and higher education. And integration with technology is going to be, not only secret of success, but to be competitive in the international, era in which we are already exposed to. Very importantly, the biggest challenge today is growing obsolescence of knowledge. And another challenge with the Indian education is growing, not only obsolescence, but the quality of education. So India need to leverage upon quality of education by making use of, the digital technology is extremely important. And one thing, because India in economic and other areas, we could, come out very well, but we could not do it in education. I think it is only and only the integration of technology that can take us, ahead. And, there is an opportunity in this, in which the strategic management language, we call it as a leapfrogging. So leapfrogging is a step where you lose one step and you go other. And leapfrogging, what we have achieved in the information and communication technology, India has been the virtual service center of the world. And in case, with the public-private partnership, not only the government institutes, but private partnership, and not only the institute, but even the technology providers, like, we are having, Mr. Malwani from Lenovo and others.
Mr.
Because
Nihalwani. Mr. Nihalwani.
Mr. Milwani, because I think
Nihalwani.
few years back, I also delivered a keynote address in manufacturers, MET, Manufacturers Association of Information Technology, wherein it was much before pre-COVID, when, each one of them was trying to enter into the education market in a big way. And probably the time has come. It is not only the entry, but it is the leverage which is going to provide to make Indian education system very, very competitive. We are also working, very hard on the legal mechanism, on the recognition mechanism, on the quality mechanism. So the integrating it with the learning and hybrid learning is going to be the future. Thank you so much from my side.
In the interest of time, I would like to sum up with the one line saying education is the chief catalyst for the holistic progress of any civilization, and Lenovo is consistently investing in it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mukesh. Clearly, technology is a large part of the transformation of education into a hybrid model, and it's not either or. To be able to make the learning experience better, technology is become a big enabler, driver, and the more you use technology, the better you're able to exploit it. I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us on this BW Education Wednesday Wisdom. I'd like to thank all our panelists, my colleague Vasudha Mukherjee, Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, Mr. Mukesh Nihalwani, Mr. Tarun Anand, Dr. Srinath, Professor Joshi, and I'd like to say that I'll see you in about 25 minutes again at 4:30 when we talk to Mr. J.C. Chaudhary, who started Akash Institute almost 4 decades back, and in the last 4 decades built it into a powerhouse, and then partnered with Byju's a couple of months back. Joining him would be his son, Mr. Akash Chaudhary, who is also very instrumental in the last 10-15 years in building up Akash. So every week on Wednesday, we'll see at the BW Education Wednesday Wisdom initiative. If you missed this conversation, you can watch it on the YouTube channel of BW Business World, or read it in the next issue of BW Education, or read it on the bweducation.com site. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay blessed, and keep embracing the balance that needs to be stuck with technology. Technology has become a bigger part of our lives in the last 16 months, and I'm sure every facet of our life, including education, is getting transformed for the better because of technology. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. God bless you.